Dear students, good morning. I hope all of you are safe. Stay home, save your life, your families and the entire society. This lockdown time, you have to utilize the time by engaging in various activities and to concentrate in your studies. Here we can see the various departments and the volunteers doing the hard work to protect us from this coronavirus. So we also have to give the maximum support to this group. Here I would like to revise the first part of our lesson, Nationalism in India, that we discussed earlier in the class. And first of all, how did the growth of modern nationalism cause for the development of the anti-colonial movement? First point, the process of the struggle with the colonialism. Second, the feeling of being oppressed under the colonial government. Colonialism affected the different groups in a different manner, but all these groups, they united together under Gandhiji under one movement. Next part, that is, how did the First World War cause for the development of the anti-colonial movement in India? Then the war created new economic and political situation in India. This caused for huge increase in defense expenditure. To meet this defense expenditure, they took the war loans and imposed the taxes and increased the taxes. Then this time the prices of food grains increased. The villages were forced to join the army and they faced the crops failure as well as the shortage of food grains, and this was followed by influenza epidemic. In this situation, they organized the anti-colonial movement. Next part, that is Satyagraha. Gandhiji organized his first Satyagraha movement in Africa to protect the Indian coal mine workers in Africa. Then in 1915, he came back to India. That's on 9th January 1915. Then, what is Satyagraha? Satyagraha is a novel method of mass agitation. It emphasizes the power of truth and the need to search for truth. The two main basic principles of Satyagraha, truth and non-violence. Next year, the three Satyagraha movement organized by Gandhiji in India. First year, Champaran movement, 1916 in Bihar to support the indigo plantation workers. Second, to support the Kheda peasants in Gujarat in 1970. Next movement in 1980 to support the cotton mill workers of Ahmedabad. These were the three Satyagraha movements. Next part, then the Rowlatt Act. What is Rowlatt Act? The Rowlatt Act, it was passed in 1990 through the Imperial Legislative Council without considering the strong opposition of the Indian members. And by this act, the British government got more power to repress the political activities in India. And they got the power of the detention of political prisoners without trial for 2 years. So Gandhiji organized a non-violent civil disobedience movement with a hartal on 6th April 1919. Then here, the people organized the strikes against the Rowlatt Act. In this situation, the British government passed the martial law. Next, we can discuss what is Jallianwala Bagh incident. Jallianwala Bagh incident, it was happened on 13th April 1919. Here, the village people, they were from the remote areas. They were not aware of the martial law passed by the British government. So, they joined to celebrate the Baisakhi festival and others to discuss about the Rowlatt Act. This time, General Dyer entered into the ground along with the troops and started to fire upon the people. That was the famous Jallianwala Bagh incident. Next, we can discuss what were the after effects of this incident. Then the people organized the strikes. They attacked the police stations and government buildings. Then the British government followed the repressive measures. What type of the repressive measures? Then they started to humiliate and terrorize the people. Then Satyagrahis were forced to rub their noses on the ground, crawl on the streets, do salute to all officers, and people were flogged through the streets. And one of the village, Gujranwala in Punjab, at present in Pakistan, that was bombed. After the Jallianwala Bagh incident, Gandhiji stopped the non-violent civil disobedience movement. Then, next we can discuss the Khilafat movement. Who was Khalifa? Khalifa, he was the emperor of Turkey. In the First World War, Turkey was defeated by the Allied powers. Then, a harsh peace treaty was going to impose this Turkish emperor. Khalifa, he was considered as the spiritual head of the Muslims all over the world. So, to defend the power of Khalifa, the Indian Muslim brothers Shaukat Ali and Muhammad Ali, they organized a Khilafat committee in Bombay in 1919. And then they visited Gandhiji to start a Khilafat movement. Gandhiji also got an opportunity to unite the Hindus and Muslims. So he decided to organize the Khilafat and non-cooperation movement. And the next year we want to discuss the non-cooperation. Here Gandhiji, he wrote the book Hind Swaraj in 1909. In this book, he discussed the Britishers were in India only because of the support given by the Indians. So we have to organize the non-cooperation movement. And he organized this movement in 3 stages. First stages, he asked them to surrender the titles given by the British government. Second one, boycott of government services, schools, legislative councils and foreign goods. And if the government following the repressive measures, organizing the civil disobedience campaign. Then this matter he discussed in the INC session of Calcutta in 1920, but some of the Congress leaders did not agree. But at last in Nagpur session in 1920, that was the annual session of INC, from there they decided to organize the non-cooperation and Khilafat movement and started this movement January 1921. Next, who had all participated in this movement? First of all, the middle class people in the towns. How did they organize this movement? The students, they left the schools, teachers resigned and lawyers stopped the legal practices and the council elections were boycotted. And then, but in Madras provinces, they were not ready to boycott the council election because there was a justice party, that was the party of non-Brahmins. They believed that if they participated in the election and to be as the member of the council, they could enjoy the powers enjoyed by the Brahmins. Then, next, we can discuss the economic impact of the non-cooperation movement. The non-cooperation movement that caused for somewhat economic development in India. Then they boycotted the foreign goods, picketed the liquor shop, foreign clothes were burnt and the import of foreign clothes halved. Then the merchants and traders refused to trade. The Indians used to use Indian clothes only. Here, because of this, the production of Indian textiles and handlooms increased. Next, this movement was a failure in town areas. What were the 2 reasons for the failure of the non-cooperation movement in towns? One is that the khadi cloth that was expensive, so it was not possible for the poor people to use this continuous period. Next one, then alternative institution did not start at a sudden. So then the people, they started to go back to the government services. Next, we want to discuss the second group of people participating in the non-cooperation movement, that were the Awadh peasants. It was under the leadership of Baba Ramachandra, and this movement was against talukdars and landlords. And their demand, or according to them, Swaraj means the reduction of revenue, abolition of beggars, and the social boycott of oppressive landlords. And they organized many movements like Nai Dobi Bans, and not to give any support to these talukdars and landlords. Here, later, Nehru also gave his support and they organized the Awadh Kisan Sabha by October. Next, The third group, the tribals in the Woodham Hills of Andhra Pradesh. It was under the leadership of Alluri Sitaram Raju. Here, last year we discussed that in 1865 the British government passed the Forest Act. As per the Forest Act, the forest people were not allowed to enter into the forest. So, then according to them, Swaraj means the abolition of beggar and freedom to enter into the forest. And they attacked the police stations and tried to kill the British official, and they organized the movement in a militant guerrilla warfare. And then they raised the slogan Swatantra Bharat. Next, that is the last group of people participating in this non-cooperation movement, that were the Assam tea plantation workers. Why did they participate? The British government passed the Inland Emigration Act in 1859. As per this act, the plantation workers, once they joined in the plantation, they were not allowed to go back to their own home. So, then they demanded that they wanted to move in and out of the confined space or from plantation. Next, that we wanted to start the new part of this lesson, civil disobedience movement, that we can discuss in the next class. Thank you.